Hello. I think by this point in time, it is now Christmas pretty much everywhere in the world. Now, am I 100% certain about that? No, I'm not. But at the very least, in the time zones I'm familiar with, it is the 25th of December. Right now, it is roughly 3 in the morning, give or take half an hour, 40 minutes. I haven't really checked, and I don't really want to. Let's start, before I get too much talking about Christmas, let's start with a sort of week leading up to today. But where do I begin? See, I'm struggling to remember it for rather the strange day I had yesterday. But let me think on it a moment. So I know I worked Saturday, and I know I worked Sunday and Monday. Right. Does anybody listening do the Wordle? Friday's Wordle was particularly difficult on account of being a word that does not originate from English but instead originates from Hebrew. The word being myrrh, which is spelt sort of astoundingly Myrrh. It sort of stands in the face of English word convention. I think a lot of people were very angry about it because I've been seeing people talking about it all over the internet, which has been quite funny. And I've also come to learn that it's a word some people know from a variety of things, because apparently it's a spice. So if you're into like incense or what have you, you probably know of it. But also it's relevant to the season because it's one of the this is how I said it the other day when I was explaining it to someone. During the Christmas arc, or the Christmas special of the Bible, it's one of the things the wise men gift to the baby Jesus. That's what I was told anyway, after complaining about the Wordle. And one of my complaints about the Wordle is, why does this English-based sort of English word quiz contain such a non-English word? And someone raised to me that my starting word is adieu, the French word, which I think means farewell or goodbye, adieu, spelt A-D-I-E-U, and they kind of have a point. But it's too useful a word to not use because it has so many vowels in it. that's all I can remember from, like, last post on. It's just Friday's Wordle was rough. Oh, actually, I've started work on a new background, which I ashamedly haven't worked on anymore because of how busy things have been. I'm still trying to correct my sleep schedule, and it's still getting thrown off by like one night every week, just resetting it back to its terrible state. Been playing a bit of Night Rain. I think I just said that, but I forgot. I play it duo, like duo queue, and me and my friend have gotten oh so very close to beating the DLC, like final boss, the Dreadlord. But unfortunately, we have yet to conquer it. It is quite tough, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm not very good at the game. Like, I'm not incompetent, and I can make good strategical decisions, but when it comes to not panicking in the face of such a foe, I can't help but spam my inputs in sheer panic, leading to unfortunate missteps. It doesn't get me down though, because both me and him will try as many tries as it takes. It's fun that way. Again, I don't think I really did anything on Saturday or Sunday. Both days were particularly dreadful at work, and Monday at work was also especially dreadful. But before work on Monday, I went to the mall with my brothers. I drove them to the mall to do a little Christmas shopping. Some of us were more successful in that endeavour than others, but you know, such is. It's gotten particularly cold recently, though. Like the other week there was that freezing rain and then the crazy snowfall. But that was only like minus 15 Celsius or minus 20. But now we're getting down to the minus 30s and above. And it's no longer just like, oh, I just have to get to my car. It's, oh, I have to get to my car and then wait for my car to heat up for like 10 minutes before I feel even, like, before I can even stop my teeth from chattering. I was last year's Christmas, I don't remember being a particularly white Christmas. So I was kind of hoping this year's would. And it looks like I hoped a little too hard, because there was 20 centimetres of snowfall today and yesterday. Like, I'm submerged halfway up the shin every time I step outside. It is nuts. However, it was a very pretty sight this morning at 7 a.m. And if you are if you are a regular listener, You may be wondering, why was I awake at 7 a.m.? And let me tell you why. See, I contracted a stomach flu, and I got this flu from my mum, who had it a few days prior, who got it from my eldest brother, who got it from his wife. And my eldest brother didn't have it so bad, and his schedule could accommodate the unfortunate side effects of the unfortunate effects, not side effects, of the stomach flu. And my mother works from home, so she was only sat back about a day, and she's on vacation anyways. I, however, was not affected by it until yesterday. Yesterday as in the 23rd, not Christmas Eve, Tuesday the 23rd. At 7 a.m. on Tuesday the 23rd, I woke up nauseous, exceptionally so, and I, of course, immediately made my way to the bathroom, wherein which I suffered the unfortunate effects of the stomach flu. And I proceeded to suffer the unfortunate effects of the stomach flu for the next 12 hours. I genuinely couldn't fall asleep or couldn't rest until 7 p.m, wherein my breathing, slow and shallow, was enough to stave away the nausea. I was in between my bed and the bathroom every 10 minutes for 12 hours. Somewhere in there I'd maybe get 20 minutes of shut-eye, and then I'd wake up too nauseous, and then I'd debate for a few minutes whether I should try to stave it off with breathing or cave and make my way to the bathroom. And always I'd have to cave. And I'd feel just fine once I was done, and I'd go back to bed cold and shaking, and I'd get all cozy under the covers, and I'd stop shaking, and I'd close my eyes, and I'd wake up in the same state I was, and the cycle would repeat itself. During this, I was unable to eat, and more importantly, I was unable to drink anything without it escaping, let's say. It's very unfortunate, especially in a winter like where I live, because where I live we have what are called dry winters, and dry winters are a special thing, because a winter by the coast is much more, well, the weather's much more erratic, I'd imagine, but it doesn't get particularly dry. But where I am, it gets dry, which means you have to be constantly applying moisturizer and chapstick and what have you, to keep yourself from turning into a mummy. And you have to use conditioner always, else your hair will constantly generate static electricity and flatten and get frizzy, and it's awful. And the static electricity just sort of going around because everybody's bundling up. It's immense, not to mention the dry, cold winds. To some, the idea of wind chill isn't a concept, but here it can take a negative 10-degree day, which is manageable with no wind, and turn it into a completely unbearable, inhospitable environment. So anyway, yeah, yesterday for me put me in quite a state. Now, luckily enough, my mother, who had experienced it before, had a timeline that I could follow for my symptoms, and by 7 p.m. it was effectively over, and I fell asleep and woke up at 7 a.m. still nauseous, but nowhere near vomiting or anything like that. I spent most of my day today wrapping presents, of which I had many to wrap. Now, despite my is the word proclivity? Proclivities? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what the word is. I really liked origami as a kid, and I was very into arts and crafts when I was in school. But I've always been terrible at wrapping presents. I've never just nailed down what the trick is, so my wrapping jobs have always been terrible. And this year was no exception. However, I was faster this year, at the very least. So there's that. As everyone in my family has gotten older, certain Christmas traditions have waned. Actually, let's take a second. What Christmas traditions do you have? So I find there's a lot of things that are culturally dominant, and then others that exist on sort of a individual family basis. In my family, we have a tradition where we, it's sort of in conjunction with another tradition, which by this point, as everybody's gotten older, we have dropped. The tradition is as such: everybody gets a new set of pajamas, and there is a race to see who can put on their pajamas the fastest. It doesn't really matter who wins, but what happens after the pajamas is a movie, usually a Christmas movie, is selected, and everybody watches the movie together, and then everybody goes to bed. And then Christmas morning, we open presents. Now, the only part of that tradition which is stuck has been the pajamas. I think for a few years now, we haven't really watched movies on Christmas. As it happens, sort of less good Christmas movies have been coming out. There are a few years where we just substituted with like other movies. Like one year, one of the movies we watched was Kingsman, and when its sequel came out, we decided to watch that on Christmas as well. And well, the Kingsman movies are pretty great as far as action movies go. They're not Christmassy in the slightest, and they have a lot of swearing in them, which my parents didn't really like. They're quite, like, rude. Still, another thing that has changed, probably since, like, after quarantine, we no longer open presents on Christmas morning, but instead do it on Christmas Eve, which means by this point I've opened all my presents, or most of them. If you're wondering what I got a very large mouse pad that covers nearly the entire space of my desk. It's like 25% smaller than my desk, I'd say. It's quite nice. I'm very happy to have it. Other thing I got, air purifier, and I got 2 rugs. One to match my rug that exists in my bedroom, and then one that looks like a sandy beach. And it's very fluffy and very soft. Maybe I'll take a picture of it sometime and share it. I got some records. Some I asked for and others I didn't. Sort of a thing my eldest brother likes to do. He'll like get me something I actually want and then include a few records that I know he wants me to like. Now in this case he accidentally got me something that I knew he wanted me to like, so I got it myself like ages ago. And I do like it, but I guess now I have 2 copies. So that's fun. What else? Oh, and I got a few sweaters. All of which were very dark colours. One of them's just black, and the other 2 are a very dark, sort of teal. Like it's so dark you can barely call it teal. Very, very dark. Which is a little unfortunate because I mentioned that I sort of already have sweaters like that. But more sweaters is more sweaters, and they'll accommodate me well during the winter, so... Oh, and for those wondering, the pyjamas I got is like a white long sleeve shirt and these sort of green pants with a bunch of harp seals on them. I think they're harp seals. Hold on, I'm going to Google this. Yep, harp seals, like baby harp seals, the little white ones. Some of them are wearing like toques, and others are like, and there's candy canes as well, so they're very Christmassy, like pajama pants. I do love seals. One of my sort of tourism goals, if not like a lifelong goals, is to visit this one sort of seal sanctuary or aquarium, or I don't know. They have seals there. It's in Hokkaido. Like, actually, it might even be beyond Hokkaido. I think it's on Japan's northernmost island, maybe. It's quite north, as far as Japan goes. I follow them on Twitter and on YouTube, and I so badly want to go there and see the seals. Yeah. What else did I get? I think that might cover it. Thinking 2 rugs, the records, mousepad, air purifier, sweaters. I think that does cover it. Yeah, all in all, I'm quite happy with what I got. Like, even the records I didn't ask for, they're from bands I know I'll probably like. And there's even one from a group I do know I like. So I'll be happy to give that one a listen pretty soon. What else? Right, other Christmas traditions. I got a little sidetracked there. Other Christmas traditions that my family does. There was one year in which my dad, I don't know if he got a pay raise or a large bonus, but he started buying board games. Many, many board games. And it was an easy thing to do while me and my brothers were in school. It wouldn't work now because of my work schedule and one of my brother's work schedules, and with the others living outside of the house. But when I was in school, he bought a different board game for every night leading up to Christmas. And after dinner, every night we'd play a different board game, and it'd be a new game every night. I think it was like 15 games, so the 15 days leading up to Christmas. Different game every night. I'm sure he had some like silly name for it, like the 15 days of something. But I've forgotten it by this point. I'm not a huge fan of board games, but it was fun. Some of them were. It's sort of a hard tradition to keep up because you have to buy 15 new board games every year. So he only bought them that one year, but occasionally he'd pick up a new one and we'd still play them every night throughout December, throughout the Christmas break. And that one we've managed to drop just a little bit, but we still do, like, after a big family dinner, we always play board games. I'm trying to think, what are other Christmas traditions that exist? I mean, prior to quarantine, my Christmases would be, like, Christmas Eve would be a turkey dinner, I think. Something like that. Sometimes it would be Chinese food, other times it would be a turkey dinner. Though Chinese food was usually a Christmas Eve thing. I think last year we did Chinese because we've gotten a little sick of turkey. You have it at Thanksgiving and then you have it Christmas Day. You can't just have turkey that often. And to be honest, I don't even like turkey. Anyway, so you'd wake up like 8 a.m. Christmas morning, you'd go downstairs and it would be time to do stockings. The stockings would be filled with random stuff. My parents always took pride in filling the stockings with just things. When I was a kid, it would usually be candy, but as everyone's become adults, it's still candy, but there's also a scratch ticket, like a lottery card. and there's like essentials like socks and perfume and deodorant, things like that. When I was in high school, I remember I'd gotten a perfume that smelled kind of lemony, I think. I used it on a few occasions, but I'm not much of a perfume person. Sort of the concept of it feels a little disingenuous. I don't know. Anyway, after you're done, unpacking your stockings and such, it would become time for turnovers and coffee. And I don't know if turnovers is the right term, but they're like a little pastry with a bit of jelly in them and then some, like just a little bit of icing on top. And my dad would heat them up in the oven, and then each person would be entitled to one or two, but I would usually have more than that because somebody didn't want their share. And then after the turnovers, everybody would gather around the Christmas tree for unwrapping the actual presents. And again, before quarantine, the way we used to do it is everybody would get one present and then unwrap it, and then the next wave of presents would be handed out until they were all gone. But an issue sort of arose with that when somebody's present would be like a more expensive item, like equal to the value of like two presents, then with this sort of wave unwrapping method, it would become apparent that they got less presents. And it sort of feels bad when you're unwrapping your presents, or you're done unwrapping your presents and everybody around you still has like 3 to go. And this would happen to me a lot, because I would often ask for like one thing for Christmas, and then I'd get that thing, and then everybody else would have like a dozen things to unwrap, and I'd just be sitting there like awkwardly. So we sort of just moved to this scramble method where everybody gets handed all of their presents, and then somebody says go, and everybody just unwraps everything they have. It's much less like performative that way, and nobody's really counting how many things people have opened. I don't know, maybe that's a very like consumerist thing. It's sort of bleak when I like say it out loud. I don't know, it's just the way things are. Anyway, after that would come waffles. The turnovers were more like an appetizer. And for brunch we'd have waffles. And I think the most I've eaten is 4, but they're like, I don't have a ruler on me, but if I had to guess, they're like a foot in diameter. Maybe a little less, no more than a foot in diameter. They're pretty big though. They're big waffles, like Belgian style waffles. Big. Yeah, the most I've ever eaten is 4, and I wish I could have them every day, but they come around infrequently throughout the year, but they always come around on Christmas. So that's nice. And then the day sort of carries on as usual after that point. Like there's Christmas dinner, and then there's, yeah, it just sort of fizzles out from there until New Year's. Now, I don't think I've spent a New Year's at home. Actually, I just realised I spent last New Year's at home, I think. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I was at a friend's house. I'm not sure. Huh. But I know the year before that, I was thinking I was going to spend it alone, and then I got invited to a friend's party last minute, which was very kind of him, because I had absolutely like no place being there. I hadn't hung out with the people there in quite a while, and it wasn't just like acquaintances and friends, but like everybody's parents were there as well, but not my parents. So it's like, whose kid is this? That was sort of the judgmental vibe I was getting. Yeah, it was a bit odd. That was 2023 though. What a year. What a year that was, eh? This New Year's has been talk of a party. Only talk though, no RSVPs or anything yet. I'm really hoping it happens though, because I don't like... This sounds mean, but if there's no party, then like I have no one to spend New Year's with other than my parents. I don't know, maybe I'm like trimming my options short because I don't want to call an individual up. Not an individual as in a specific person, but any one person. And be like, hey, do you want to watch the countdown with me? Because that, I don't know, I just feel like I can't do that. It has to be an event. There used to be somebody who I'd watch the countdown with, but they're long gone by this point. So, can't do that. I'm getting all nasally. I'll probably, if there ends up being no party, I actually will probably just record one of these, like during the countdown. That might be fun. That's my backup plan. We'll make a video out of it. It'll be fun. I'm hoping I'll do a little more video editing in the New Year's. I have sorry. I did make a video the other day that has done, like, on a different channel, on a different account, on a different email, elsewhere. As far as you're concerned, it's not me. That has done extraordinarily well. Like, on that channel, the video with the most amount of views up until the one I just uploaded has sat at like 12k views, and I had uploaded it 10 years ago, and it was a really bad like Windows Movie Maker mashup of like two vines that were really popular at the time, like just really poorly edited. It's just two clips cut together, but 12k views, and that sat at the top of my channel until a while ago when I uploaded this other one that sits at 74k views, which is astounding. The engagement has been absurd. Like, I've never had that much engagement on anything, like not here, not anywhere. So that's fun. Other than that, I'd edited a short clip compilation of little Helldivers clips from me playing with my friends. And that, well, that was fun to edit. I always forget how much I enjoy video editing. Like, these ones, editing these is sort of cookie cutter and there's not much nuance to it. Like, I can edit one of these in 5 minutes, whereas a clip compilation will take me a matter of hours. I do have videos I've been meaning to edit, and I think, or rather I hope, in the new year I'll finally get around to it. My hotspot, if you were to do a calendar heat map, when I usually end up editing videos is in January. I sort of get an itch for it, and I start editing video. Yeah. Anyway, I hope I get around to that. On Christmas Day, which is today for a lot of you, and, well, I'm not counting it as today until I wake up, but I still have stockings to unpack. I'm hoping there's some fun things in there. I'm a very big fan of the Terry's chocolate orange. A lot of people don't like orange and chocolate, but I'm a big fan of the chocolate oranges and Jaffa cakes. So, yeah. Oranges are a special fruit. I find they have a lot of utility to them, because they're not too sweet, but they're not too mellow, and they're not too sour. Like, apples can be sour, or they can be sweet. But oranges, they just feel right. I wouldn't say they're my favourite fruit, but when I feel like I need to eat a fruit, oranges are definitely the one that come to mind. And if you're brave enough, you can also eat the peel. Don't let them tell you that you can't eat the peel. You can eat the peel if you want to. If you're strong enough, if you're brave enough, you can eat the whole thing. You can leave nothing behind for them to find the orange. They will never know you ate an orange if you eat the peel. Anyways, ignore that. Do I have anything else I need to mention? Because I should probably go to sleep very soon. I wonder if I'll make, when is New Year's? Oh, thank God it's on a day I'm not working. If it was on a day I was working, I'd get off work and then have half an hour to freshen up, and then half an hour till the ball drops. Oh, there's plenty of time. I think I want to finish that background before the new year comes around, so tomorrow I might actually do that. I don't have any energy drinks left in my stash, but I might just have extra coffee to accommodate. I'm having a little difficulty, like, sort of sticking to what I want for the new background, because everything I've done so far, well, the first two were pretty similar, like seasonally and tonally different, but they were both like brutalist structures, succumbing to nature and the weather. And the summer one, the third one, was similar in that way, with the large brutalist structure, but there was a sort of humanity added by the boat, dilapidated, definitely taken by the weather still, but it was a new element. And then I think I sort of went off base with the fifth one. No, the fourth one. The one that you're currently looking at if you're looking at the video. Because this one sort of lacks any proper brutalist themes, and while I feel it does have a vibe, it doesn't really represent the season very well. My stomach just made a noise. Yeah, I feel I could do better to represent the season, and perhaps with what I'm currently making for the winter one, I'm still off base, but I'm not quite sure. I could always do a total cop-out and just go back to the first one, which is very much, again, a winter one. But I do have ideas for a new one. Like, perhaps I could have different, like if it's outside, I could have different weather going on. Like, oh, this one has an aurora and a starry sky, or this one is just a starry sky, or this one's cloudy and it's snowing, or even the sun setting. There's tons I could do. But alas, it will have to be decided upon tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after, just whenever I get around to it. Yeah. Anyways, I've been drying the hell out of my voice here, so I think it's about time that I go to bed. And if you're listening to this on Christmas Eve somehow, it's probably about time that you go to bed as well. Anyways. Bye-bye. Good night.